Hi everyone, and welcome to the tutorial on FAS Schedule Sales Query Plus breakout session presented by John Varghese and Mike Zen. I'm Kevin Golisano. I work on GSA Region 3's business development team, and I'll be moderating today's session. Just to go over a quick couple housekeeping rules before we begin. Please remain on mute with your camera off during the presentation section. Please feel free to use the Zoom raise hand feature if you have a question or want to get some feedback from our presenters, and we'll call on you, at which point you can come off mute, turn your camera on, and ask your question. You can also type your question into the chat. This session will be 30 minutes long, running from 3:25 to 3:55 Eastern Time. When we close, I'll provide instructions for moving on to your choice of the two options for the second breakout sessions. So now with those housekeeping rules out of the way, I'd like to pass it over to John Varghese. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Varghese, as Kevin said, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Michael Zen. We work in the FAS Office of Policy and Compliance, Acquisition, Evidence, and Analysis Division. OPC developed the Schedule Sales Query Plus tool, which we will demo today. SSQ Plus is a tool that depicts sales in both report and dashboard format. Once you run the report, you can download the data if you want in various formats. The tool is accessible to the public on the GSA D2D platform, which is d2d.gsa.gov. The dashboard was designed to provide our suppliers with past sales dollars information. Today, we will demo using the furniture-specific SIN, which Mike will show. This tool is replaced the original SSQ tool and provides sales information all the way from 1991 to the present, fiscal year 1991 to the present. Acquisition, Evidence, and Analysis Division conducts office hours last Thursday of each month for our internal and external customers via Zoom. The next session is scheduled on Thursday, May 26th. Login information is provided to access the Zoom on the D2D SSQ homepage. After today's demo, if you have any specific questions, please post them, and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Now I invite my colleague, Michael Zen, to demo the SSQ Plus tool. Thank you. Michael?
All right, thank you, John. So as John said, this is located on the D2D site, the d2d.gsa.gov. And if you don't have a direct path to it, just type SSQ Plus in the search and it'll bring up the main landing page that you see here. A couple of things, pretty much it gives a history, kind of what John just mentioned about what it's for and how far the data goes back. But a couple of things I want to point out on here first are we have office hours for, the AOD has office hours, which as we support the SSQ Plus tool. So if you have any questions, it's kind of just it's not necessarily we do any tutoring, it's just, it's set with whatever questions you bring forward, we'll go ahead and answer and help you with any questions you have about the process. Also located down here is a SSQ demo. It's a recording of how to walk through. It's a very good video to walk through the process of how you create the reports and how you can create filters and get the data that you need. So this is on the main landing page. So let's jump right into the dashboard. So SSQ Plus is kind of what it is. It gives you the you can break down by SINs, by go all the way down to contract. You can go by categories or subcategories, and you can see trends in sales and amount of vendors in however you want to break down the data. What it's not is you're not going to get down to the pricing in this thing. This is not a pricing tool. You're not going to be able to see specific prices for products that are sold, but you will see vendors and what their successes have been in the with the government. The first landing page here kind of gives you your main. You can go ahead and start applying your filters on here. You can just you're able to see some very high level things such as the number of contracts, the number of vendors, total sales amounts. So let's go to Sorry, that would be the next page. So this is the high level overview. So the one of the places you might want to start is the SSQ Plus report builder. Click on the first tab there. So this is where you can kind of create your own filter, see what, or create your own report, what you want to add, what kind of information you want to show, and what kind of filters you want to break down. So let's say we wanted to go report by SIN, report by CUs, NAICs, and go down to the contractors. Right now, it's going all SINs, all schedules, or should have done that one. Slow it down a little bit. That one second. So this will allow you can the first report level, you can put how you want to report. Then you can go ahead and do your filtering. Do you want to filter by SINs? Do you want to filter by? So let's go ahead and choose the selected SIN. So we want to go with the 33721. Apply that. And so you have your first breakdown. So we've just used one SIN, so it's only going to be one SIN on the left side. But then you can break down, you can filter by your, then it breaks down by the NAICs, and then by each individual contractor alphabetized. So you go ahead and see those sales for past fiscal years. Up here in the upper right corner, you go ahead and change what dates you want to go, calendar dates you want to put it by. So right now it's going everything from October 2018 or beginning of fiscal year 19 to April of 2022. So this kind of gives you the first high level report if you wanted to look and see more information about what the different vendors are doing. Go back to the main page. And another one to show you is the contract performance. So this one's going to go ahead and show you if you're just getting into a contract with the government and you want to see, okay, so contracts that have been, how many are not meeting the sale requirements in the first years, and the second, third years, and down on through 20 years. You can go ahead and see if that field is a ripe one for you to enter in on. Current contracts, you can kind of see a stats of what things are at, which ones are active, terminated, or expired, and total number of contracts. At this time, you can change your annual sales requirement if it's defaulted to 25,000, but if you want to filter out smaller ones, you can go ahead and do that also. Your filters do carry through, so whatever you entered on the last reports over here. So just in case you wanted to make some changes, you can go ahead and make more changes here. All right, going back there. The HCA report is kind of gives you the high level as far as, once again, we're not going to give you the list of the vendors, but it's going to actually give you the counts and the totals, breaking down by however you choose also. But the one I really want to focus on right now is the vendor analysis module. This is the one we probably get the most questions on, the most people that we have our office hours ask the questions about, and most people outside of GSA use it for this purpose, use SSQ for this purpose. So you start right off with, it'll take you right through asking you questions, and you fill those in, and then it will give you pretty much a detailed report how you want. So you start off by, okay, so we want to look at SIN. We want to break it down by and you can choose many as you want or few as you want. So first, right off, okay, so you've got current fiscal year as of April, fiscal year 2022, you have 273 total contracts and 206 million in sales. You can do it. You can filter down more if you want to. You just stay on SIN. You then click the next. Go to your next question area. This one will go your market area. So if you want to choose a specific area, you can go ahead and break down by a certain area in the United States if you want to. If your sales roll over, then you just go ahead and leave this one blank, and it'll go through the whole country. Next gives you the social economic options. So for business size or veteran owned or women owned, you can go ahead and choose what those vendors are. And so you can go ahead and make sure that you're in the right competition against the right socioeconomic factors. And if you don't want to play with any of those, then you go ahead and just leave all those blank and go to your next screen. And so that's all the questions you've answered. So you go ahead into your, click on the button here, the vendor analysis module report. And it basically, it pulls a lot of the information that you can see on the other reports into kind of one nice little package you can see here. So gives you your total overview of the sales of, so we only chose one SIN, but it'll give you your top competitors by total sales, breaking down by the year for the most current year, or sorry, by whichever year you chose. And then kind of giving you trends as far as numbers, sales, and number of vendors. Clicking next takes you to the next screen, and then you can kind of also give a little breakdown as far as for you want to do lifetime contract sales as far as how many vendors have made in sales for the lifetime they've had with the government, the number of vendors that have had that, who owns the biggest market share. You can filter down by each, by the largest vendors. And then the composition metrics, this one. So, so the top 80% of sales are sold by 5.24% of the vendors for this SIN. And then once you have this, and this and on the other screen, if you want this information, click on the lower right-hand corner, brings up a box. You can go ahead, you can download it as an image. You can Crosstab might work, I don't think you get the best when you want, but a PDF or an image would be your best shot. You go ahead and take a snapshot of this and be able to save this that could help you out with any of the forms you need to fill out as far as your specific marketing. All right. With that, that's kind of, yeah, I went through all those. So it's kind of the walkthrough of the SSQ Plus tool. John, do you have anything you wanted to add before we take questions?
One of the questions that we often get in our office hours is, can you download the data in an Excel format? And how exactly do we do that?
So, okay, say you wanted the top competitors one. Clicking the box, download, go for the cross tab. You can choose which one you want. So you want the top competitors one. Download. You just have to be careful, make sure you're choosing the right. It'll let you use one at a time what box, but then can open it up. And sorry, there you go. And you're able to download it in Excel. And there, yeah, you can go ahead and you have the information in an Excel spreadsheet if you did want that also. And you just by choosing which box or which when you want to go ahead and look at, you can download individually, or you can take a single snapshot. Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Questions?
All right, we got a couple of people chatting questions to start.
All right.
So the first one is regarding data refresh. I guess if you guys could speak broadly about how you manage your data, and more specifically, how quickly is the data refreshed after the close of the quarter?
So the data is refreshed monthly. It's I'd say I don't actually do the refreshing. I know another person does it, but it's pretty much a week after the closing of or the end of the month that a new one has been updated.
Okay. Next question, does the data in SSQ come from what is reported in SRP or the FAS sales reporting?
Yes, yeah, it's collecting that data, correct, is what's reported in SRP. So it's your FAS data, TDR data. So it's collecting those.
Cool, always good when everything matches. Is there a way to filter by manufacturer? Maybe you can run through an example if you have one.
By vendor manufacturer, let's see, report builder.
I believe we cannot, because this is actually contract specific.
Yeah, you're correct. Yes. Yeah.
Dollars are not manufacturer specific dollar figures.
Yeah, we don't go down to the line item. So yeah, you would be able to see the specific products that vendor sells, but you can't see what their total sales are.
Okay. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to use the raise your hand feature if you'd like to chime in, or keep chatting questions while we have John and Mike. And again, like they said, feel free to reach out too if you think of one later on that you wished you asked now.
One advice I can give folks is that if you have not used this tool before, just go and play with it. That's the best way. You cannot break it. And the more you use it, more friendly it gets and more useful it gets. There's a ton of information here. And what we, from talking with folks who have used it, the vendors who have used it previously, as they use it on a month-to-month basis, they become they figure out it's very easy to use. And although we don't allow for them to save the reports, but you can reuse the same report by choosing the same filters, and you can pull any report within a couple of minutes.
Then once we do have it on the fourth Thursday of every month, we have our open office hours with the links on the header page and also on the main page of the dashboard. So it's just, we'll leave any questions you have about SSQ Plus. We'll walk you through any help you need.
Cool. Okay, we got another question that just came in too. It's, can you show how to report all sales for a given time frame for a specific SIN? And the example that they'd like to see is 33/7/21, and then by contract. So
what's the time?
Time frame? Yeah. Jay Feely, did you have a specific time frame you wanted to see, or we could just say a couple FYs or quarters? Just as an example, just FY21 is fine.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, so we'll go right to the report builder. And said wanted to see by SIN.
33721.
Yep, 33721 and reported sales by contract.
And Mike, change the time frame to FY21, please. Thank you.
So it's good to see the example in action, just watching you click around. I think that's beneficial if anybody else has something like this that they'd like to see.
All right, so we have for fiscal year 2021, total sales broken out by contracts, and then grand total is the same as once it's one fiscal year, but broken down by the order we have. So you can, like I said, you could add the name if you wanted to. Yeah, go ahead there, and then so now you have by name. So now pretty simple report. So you can go ahead and see the top vendors real quickly.
Very cool. And going back to downloading the data, I'm someone who likes to play with it in Excel. Is there any file size limit or number of lines that restricts how big a data set you can export from SSQ Plus?
Yeah. I mean, if you try to do download, if you leave it with no filters, you'll probably crash and it won't be able to download all that. But if you're going down by a SIN, no, there shouldn't be a list. It should just it should either be able to handle any sizes. I guess as long big as your Excel will take to about 1 million lines or so. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got a question from William. Is it possible to see which contract different contractors fall under?
Fall under the minimum amount, or I guess I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess William, if you want to be more specific, or it just sounds like maybe which contract belongs to who. Like if they wanted to organize it by, say, null at the top with multiple contracts after that. Am I reading that right? So yeah, contractors who have multiple contracts.
Contracts, okay.
Yeah.
So if you would go ahead and so by just switching the, as long as they have the same contractor name, but they have multiple contracts, just switching the report levels down to putting the contractor name on the left and then the contract numbers. Then you'd be able to see ones like Evans Consoles Incorporated has 2 contracts, and so forth like that. You go ahead and break down that way.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that was it. That was the question. All right, we got one more saying, can you sort out all BPAs awarded to all vendors under your schedule?
BPAs. I do not think we can, John. Yeah.
No, I don't think we'll be able to do that. At least not yet. We'll definitely take it back and see whether we can be added to this tool.
Cool. And yeah, someone mentioned that you should be able to see contracts underneath each person or each contractor in eLibrary, but hopefully seeing today's demo will make them want to come to SSQ Plus too, to just find that information.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Any other questions or examples you'd like the guys to run through while we still have them? We'll just keep it open a little longer. We have until about 3:55. Perfect. Thank you, Jeff, or Jay Feely. How do you export the date to Excel?
I think he meant data to Excel.
Oh, data. Okay, yeah, I'll go through it one more time. So you have this. So you have this table right here, lower right-hand corner, download. If you actually want, like I said, an image or a PDF, you can go ahead and do that, and it'll capture it. But if you want the actual table, make sure that you're choosing the right one, the data table. Go to Excel or a CSV format. Download. Maybe different operating systems are different, but for Windows here, then it just pops in. It did the download. I can go ahead and open it up. And
And also it depends on whether you're using Chrome or Edge as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Chrome, you can just double click in the bottom and go direct, open it up in Excel. If you're using Edge, you may have to go into the downloads folder on your machine and double click there to open up Excel.
It's kind of what you see is what you'll get type thing. So this is just, it was that tiny little box that you scroll through. It'll just give you the whole box and gives you all the numbers there.
Well, and Mike, can you just run through where you clicked again one more time?
Sure, I can do that.
Slowly, just for anybody who may have missed each step.
Yep. I'll just go. All right. So for instance, we have this report here. We went ahead and filtered by the contractors for fiscal year 21 and what their sales were. If you wanted, so we have the scrollable table here. So if you actually want to go ahead and download this one, you can go ahead and just click on anywhere in this table. Click on the lower right-hand corner. There's a little says download with the box and the down arrow. Just go ahead and click that once, and then another box will pop up letting you say, okay, how do you want to download this? You can download images, download the crosstab, PDF, or I guess I've never done PowerPoint. I'm not sure, probably just another PDF type thing or slide. It'll show it in, but crosstab is kind of if you want the actual data, you go ahead and click on that one. So it's the crosstab. It should, if you did click on the box, it'll default to that one. If you didn't, it'll let you choose which one, but you want the actual data table. And then you can choose your format is Excel or CSV. And then just click the download. And then like John said, so I have Chrome up right now. When you do that, it just gives me the option. It shows me that it's downloading, and then it puts in the lower left-hand corner, it says a table downloaded, or it could be in your download folder. Double click on that, and it opens up to the Excel. And so now you have just going ahead and widening the columns. You can see them, but that's the information that was there. So it's quick and easy to pull whatever data that you see in the dashboard to download it.
Cool, perfect. Thank you, Mike. All right, another question Seth wants to know, when looking at competitor sales, what are some creative ways for digging deeper to see from where the sales are coming, customers, etc.?
So we don't, this one does not go down to, I mean, you can, yeah, you can kind of, when you filter by geographic area, it's just kind of where the office is located of the vendors. It's not necessarily where they're doing their sales. So this report does not break down like details as far as who's buying and where and locations. It's just more of the specific vendors and their totals.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm just going to start getting the next links ready so everybody knows where to go for the next session. We're coming up on 3:55, but we got a couple more minutes.
So I'm going to stop sharing so you can check them.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for this opportunity to share the tool with everyone who are attending today. We are here. If you have any more questions, just reach out to us, and we'll be happy to answer any more questions in the future.
Yeah, thank you guys. So I posted in the chat the next two sessions. If you plan on attending Sean Kelly's session on packaged furniture, MOT, and CTA, just stay put, sit tight. We'll get started at 4 o'clock right here. If not, if you're going to be going to the MAS Solicitation Management Improvement Brainstorming session, hosted by Jeff Calhoun and Steve Gervasi, the link is at the very bottom of the chat that I just sent. So thanks everybody for coming, and feel free to make your way to the session you'd like to see.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye.
If everyone here is here for Sean Kelly talking about the MAS package furniture maximum order threshold and contractor teaming arrangements discussion, you're in the right place. We'll be starting at 4 o'clock. So just a few more minutes. All right, I got 4 o'clock. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the MAS Package Furniture Maximum Order Threshold MOT and Contractor Teaming Arrangements CTA discussion. I'm Kevin Golisano. I work on GSA's Region 3's Business Development Team, and I'll be moderating the session today. I'd like to go over some quick housekeeping rules before we begin. Please remain on mute with your camera off during the presentation section. Feel free to use the Zoom raise hand feature to ask a question at any time during the presentation. We'll call on you, and then you can come off mute, come on camera if you choose to ask a question. You can also type your questions into the chat. This session is 30 minutes long, running from 4 to 4:30. And then afterward, you will be free to go, and we will not head back to the main room where we started. So for this breakout session, we'll be joining Sean Kelly from the Integrated Workplace Acquisition Center, IWAC, to provide your feedback on package furniture program, MOT, and CTAs. So Sean, the virtual platform is all yours.
Oh, thanks, Kevin. And looks like we have 60 people here, which is pretty impressive. So, welcome everybody. I appreciate everybody jumping on with us. I know it's been a pretty long day so far. We're about 3 hours in, so I appreciate you hanging on with us for this last half hour. So I don't have anything prepared today in terms of slides for you all. What I was really hoping to do was just have a discussion. As we were going through the changes to the package furniture subcategory, we heard a couple times about the need or the need to change the maximum order threshold for those sins under the subcategory. So, we've taken that and we've begun to look into it. And I think it's about time that we put some serious consideration into it. I think it makes sense. I alluded to it a little bit earlier, but with the transition to the CTAs, where a lot of the manufacturers or suppliers are now using their own schedule contracts, What we're left with on the packaged furniture sins are, more or less labor categories. And in some instances, there are vendors that do have products awarded under the office furniture sin, some of the other traditional product sins that are eligible to be sold under the package sins. But point being is that there's much less now going directly through those sins from a sales reporting perspective, I suppose. So with that, Kevin, if you have the poll, so we have a poll, and I want to throw it up, at the beginning, maybe to get the juices flowing. We'll take a look at what those poll results look like, and then maybe we can get into some discussion after that. So Kevin, if you want to take a couple minutes, if you have it up and ready, or if I caught you off guard, we can wait.
So actually, it's actually disappeared, and the poll we had set up and tested earlier is not. I just went to open it up and it's not showing up, but I can read the questions real quick. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah. So why
dry run, I think we used it up somehow, but I do have them here. I could just read them to everybody, or just I'll put them in the chat box as well. So minor hiccup. But the questions being, would you be in favor of lowering the max order threshold? Yes or no? Which do you think an appropriate max order threshold would be? And options could be like 250K, no change, or other. And would you be willing to participate in the working group that will provide insight towards the MOT update? So again, sorry again, we can't do the interactive poll, but hopefully that's giving everybody an idea of where to get started.
Cool. So thanks, Kev. So we'll get with that, I guess coupling the first. All right, so there goes Pat Morrison. Yes, for 100,000. So Pat, if you wouldn't mind, what's the rationale behind your answers?
And just to encourage everybody to, feel free to come off mute, come on camera if you're comfortable with coming on camera. And, we want this to be a lively discussion.
Yeah, we got a taker, Kev. Hey, Chris.
Cool. While waiting for Pat to find his mute button, I think that's probably the issue. I hope it is. So I just want to give a background. The 5 million on the package program, the package program is very old. And it's actually so old that it predates the changes in the FAR about what a maximum order meant. And in the old days, when you had an order over the MO, GSA took over the procurement and did a separate competition based on that order that was over the MO. And the package vendors at that time, because most of them were quite large, they were $600,000-700,000. This is not going to work. So that's when the furniture center then agreed to the 5 million. But when the change came that the MO doesn't mean that anymore, agencies can place whatever they want to. They're just encouraged to get greater discounts. That's when the MO should have been changed, but it never was. And I believe it should be 250 as it is for the basic office furniture sin. And while we're on the topic, I mentioned this before for healthcare. For some reason, healthcare furniture is at 500,000. Let's make them all 250.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, Chris, I know we've talked about this before, and I knew that there was another sin that you had mentioned, and I couldn't remember which one it was. So I appreciate you bringing that up again.
So anyways, that's the background of this 5 million. I mean, when I mentioned it to Roger at the coalition. He said, what, 5 million? He'd never seen a 5 million MO, but that's the reason. And now it's, as you point out, Sean, now it's basically just services. It really, it's kind of crazy to have a 5 million for services, because it wreaks havoc on us with our price reduction clause compliance.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured that, you know, this topic would have been an easy one. Now, I probably could have safely made the assumptions that, you know, a lot of folks would be on board. You know, so I think kind of moving forward, we are going to have a working group to kind of tackle this issue, and really just to kind of, you know, to collect some, you know, some data from industry, you know, and kind of just get your feedback to really nail down, you know, exactly where we think it should be. So I think we could probably look towards that to begin sometime in June. I know we don't, since we were going to use the poll to kind of take a list of the folks who would be interested in joining that working group, but since that's not working, we'll likely just reach back out again with a very quick survey, similar to the way that we did it with packaged furniture, you know, so that everybody will have the opportunity to join us for those discussions. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about, and you know, it looks like some people are starting to ask questions about it in the chat, and I'll run through and answer some of them in a little bit, but just general overall feedback, I guess, with the new changes to the packaged furniture SINs. You know, if anybody has experience with, I mean, it doesn't look like we have too many CTAs that were awarded to contracts yet. We have gotten a few in, and we've gotten some more in offline. But you know, any just overall general feedback, you know, now that the new requirements are in place. Okay. All right. So with that, I did see a couple questions come in, and you know,
Yeah, I could start running through them for you. I was just wanted to give that opportunity if anybody did want to give that feedback.
sure.
So we can go with the first one, or one of them from that Ben guy. If contract package dealers offer 3370 721p, no longer report products, ostensibly they would only be reporting ancillary services. Since products would be reporting by the manufacturer, by the manufacturer's team members. So what is the difference between 33721p and 541614 CF? So the two different SIN types, you know?
Sure. So I guess, so what is the difference between 33721p and 541214 CF? Well, for starters, the Service Contract Labor Standards Clause or Act applies to 541614 CF. It does not apply to 33721p. Second, in order to use, if you were to procure from, you know, just the general office furniture SIN, and you were to need the 541614 CF for the services portion of it, there would have to be a separate, assuming you were teaming, you have to team outside of the schedules program. With 33721p, those CTAs are already in place. And it was also, I mean, the change was also about preserving the packaged furniture program. It's got a really good reputation. A lot of people like it, customers, industry. It's got a high usage rate. So we wanted to keep that intact, you know, to ensure just, you know, that comfortability. You know, and we think we've been able to do that. But yeah, I mean, your point is well taken. We've heard that a couple times. You know, why do we even need the package SIN anymore? I think it's a very familiar arena, you know, for customers in industry to play in. You know, but again, we've done a lot of that back end work so that, you know, the customers don't have to worry about it. You know, those teaming arrangements are already in place. It still allows for that continued, you know, that continued total solution, to where a single point of contact can still have, you know, relationships already in place with multiple different manufacturers and suppliers to provide that total solution that the customer is looking for at that single touch point. You know, so, and you don't get that with 541.614 CF. That is strictly services. Whereas the 337.21P is both. And Ryan, I saw you come off contract, so I'm sorry, Cameron, I'll let you have the floor.
I'm off contract now. No, you actually hit on the point I was going to emphasize, is that a lot of our end users express that continued single belly button quarterbacking the whole project management services, installation and design services. So even though they may seem ancillary and a smaller percentage of the total overall cost, that's what our customers liked, probably loved about the packaged office program, was that single integrator approach, as opposed to cutting maybe 10 different orders and doing that all themselves. So there's definitely value add through the program. But you covered it, so thanks, Sean.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, we got another question here from Antrout. As a manufacturer, if we enter into a schedule with schedule level CTA with packaged office contractor, we are now required to report and pay the IF on products only. In the FAS portal, do we report these sales under the SIN 3372.721P, even though we do not have that SIN on our manufacturer contract?
Yeah, so Angie, I don't think you would even have that option in FAS SRP to report under the package SIN if your company doesn't have it. So you would report under likely the office furniture SIN, you know, whichever SIN that the products are that you provided via the CTA, you would report sales under that SIN. So yeah.
Okay. And yeah, again, if anybody has any more questions, feel free to chat them, or, you know, come off mute, raise your hand. You know, we'd be happy to discuss it.
And it could be beyond those two topics. You know, you got the right folks on the call from a mass perspective. So feel free to chime in with anything else beyond the MOT for packaged office or packaged office CTAs in general.
Okay, we got a question from Dale. What was the logic behind changing the LOS to now the CTA?
So I know either Sean or I can answer that, but you know, really what the genesis of all this was an audit report through our OIG that was basically requiring us to have CSPs for all of our packaged office vendors. And to think about that, if we went the CSP route, every time a manufacturer changed something downstream, however many packaged office vendors would be impacted and having to do a CSP change or a mod to adjust their CSPs. The workload probably would have been crushing for a packaged office dealer, as well as for the GSA side of the house. So we went the route of a CTA because the swim lanes are clear. The product manufacturers are managing their own contract, and the service providers are managing that side of the house. So the letter of supply more or less became superfluous and not needed at that point, because the CTA is covering each of your own independent contracts. So any changes to that to your contract would be taken care of. I think that makes sense, Sean. I'm not the mass expert, Sean is, but I think I covered it at least serviceably well.
Yeah, Sorry, that next question that came in caught my attention.
No, I'm reading it
yeah.
as well.
Okay.
So Ben, I'm going to defer to Sean on that one.
Yeah, so Ben, I appreciate the question because this actually came up a few weeks ago. And I understand what the solicitation requires in regards to the price proposal template. So one of the things that we have to take into consideration, and you heard from the group earlier today, is the efforts of the catalog management office and what they're doing with catalog management and BPP. We don't want to do anything that is going to contradict and kind of make their efforts a little bit more difficult. So I say that because I had a conversation with Jeff Calhoun earlier in the week, and I'm sure most of you know Jeff. And Jeff and I are going to meet with the catalog management team the middle of next week to kind of see where they're at with what their requirements are for PPT uploads, and see if we could come up with some sort of guidance for industry and the workforce, as it relates to furniture or really just any matrix type products, to see if maybe we can streamline that effort at the same time while not contradicting whatever what catalog management is trying to do. So my point is your question is heard loud and clear, and it's something that we are actively working on right now to see maybe we can get some guidance out to everybody.
All right, any other questions for Sean, Ryan, or any of the folks on the line?
Just because I do terribly with awkward silence. I've never done well with it. I might have a question for you all from an industry perspective. I know one of the things from the catalog management efforts, a lot of the questions that we saw on our end was related to the amount of configurations we have. That we have, we're customizable configurations are numerous, et cetera. From an industry standpoint, are you all tracking what maybe your top configurations are, like what your top options are from like a fabric or a finish or whatever that might be? And I ask that because like maybe there's a middle ground for the catalog process where maybe your top offerings, maybe you find that 20% of your options that you offer are 80% of your spend, right? And maybe there's a way to get more focused in that space, which might allow you to have a play in the catalog world. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud to see if industry tracks any of that by the solutions you offer. I hope that question made sense, but was looking to see if there's an opportunity to get some feedback there.
If I could jump in on that one, is that right?
Sure. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Good. How are you, Ryan?
Doing good.
So GSA Advantage is wonderful. It way predates eBuy and all the commercial platforms, so it's great. But it's really for a government customer, just like with eBuy, to click and buy.
Sure.
But you don't click and buy office furniture. You don't click and, especially systems. You just don't. And no government end user for furniture will go to a website and say, oh, this is what I want, and then the next thing you know, there's an offer and an order in your inbox. It just doesn't work that way. And one of my clients is one of the majors that you know of. They had their IT people do an estimate with all their different fabrics, with all their different finishes, edge variations, sizes, and everything. How many are there? The answer was 24 quadrillion.
That's it?
So
I thought it'd be higher.
Put that on Advantage. And
yeah.
Some of your CEOs, especially with you all in Philadelphia, they're very reasonable. We've done a product-based configuration, but even that's still a lot of product.
Sure.
And I submit to what purpose? Because no one's going to click and buy. Now, there are some companies that may have a quick ship program. You'll get it in 48 hours if you buy this fabric, this finish, and so forth. That's more in seating.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But not, you're certainly not going to get it on systems. So I think there's got to be a realization and some sort of accommodation that we've got these products, but the end user always invites you in to do a space layout and sit with them and go through the various configurations. That's how it's done.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good. How are you? How are you, John?
Good, good. So I think what we have working for us is I understand exactly what you're saying. And Kate Koch, who's on the catalog team, also understands exactly what you're saying because she's done assisted projects, under my supervision, many years ago. So I think we empathize with, to give an example, like no one's going to shop a whip made by Steelcase against a whip, electrical whip made by Herman Miller because it's a meaningless comparison, right? Like it really doesn't mean anything. It's not something you buy by itself. I think we understand that the challenges of panel product and even fabric is challenging too. I think to get to Ryan's point, we're not looking for a percentage of product, right? Like I think someone in the chat mentioned about 25% being concerning. I think the point is kind of where you were heading. You mentioned that seating is something that tends to be on GSA Advantage and might be an area where items could be uploaded, perhaps some table products. I don't think personally that, panel-based product would be meaningful to put up there, but I think our point is we're trying to reconcile your concerns and needs with those of the catalog initiative and just trying to find ways where we might be able to see some overlap is all. But we definitely understand what you're talking about. I tell people when I'm talking to someone who's buying furniture for the first time, the first thing I say to them is office furniture is commercial, but it's not off the shelf. And, I explain all the reasons for that and implications behind that. So we definitely understand your position. So I just wanted to give you some level of assurance that we get what you're looking at. But I think Ryan's just trying to get to, like, if you guys could throw us some product categories that you think are more catalogable, for lack of a better word. I just invented it. You heard it here first.
Trademarked.
Yeah, trademarked. We might be able to find some middle ground, I guess.
Well, it sounds like something for a working group, if I could suggest that.
No, and if from an industry vantage point, I think catalog obviously is working through a ton of other sectors of GSA, but I think they want to recognize whatever they build, that there is a capacity for potential furniture overlays. And I should have clarified, systems was never really at the forefront of my mind. It was really in like some of the seating spaces and some of that other areas that are a little less, piece part driven. But yeah, I think the catalog team would welcome that as well. So we could take that feedback to Mike Shepard and his folks and maybe start something, summertime as they start building out their capabilities. It might be a good time for that. So I appreciate that, Chris.
Yeah, sure. Anytime.
Yeah, and I would just point out too, Mike Shepard has purchased furniture as well many times, and complex furniture projects for DHS. So he'll certainly be able to he'll certainly be able to empathize with your situation as well, and he gets it.
Yeah, good. All right.
I hear he has a St. E's tattoo, so to commemorate his experience working on the St. Elizabeth's project for like 2 years of his life. So,
well, there you go. All right, thank you.
Appreciate that, Chris. Thanks.
Thanks.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sulema Vaughn, and I work under Sean. And I apologize about the polling glitch that we had. So I noticed that we had 55 participants and only about 4 people answered our poll. So if you want to be anonymous, feel free to email me directly your answers and responses, because we would like to get a working group together on the MOT for the packaged office send. So you can email me at Sulema, ZULEIMA .VAUGHAN at gsa.gov. I'll also throw it up there in the chat for reference. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Lima.
Yeah, and to be clear, the poll was my fault. It was not Zulema's. So reach out to her. Definitely, you'll get more direct feedback.
Thanks, Kevin.
Live television, Kev, you know, it's hard.
Yeah. Just yell at me. I'm used to it by now.
So I know we're coming up on time, but is there any final questions while we got Sean in the hot seat? Hold on a second. Right, the auditor want to see everything. Auditor pinged the company for not listing. Yeah, I can't speak to some of the auditor type stuff that you might be experiencing on your end, but please share that feedback forward to Sean and his folks, and if it's a specific topic, and we could take a look at it.
Cool. So as we're just waiting for any other.
Had
Oh,
a
go
quick
ahead,
thought. A quick
ahead.
thought. This might sound sarcastic. It's not. If you have an issue with an auditor, it might be helpful to show them a bill of materials if you recently quoted some work, because I found a lot of times that that's helpful for folks that don't understand furniture to see that and see the level of detail and how a lamp can have, 7 associated part numbers with it, let alone a 5x7 workstation. So it might give them a little bit of perspective. I can't say that they'll stop giving you a hard time, but I think it'll at least give them a little bit of perspective of the challenges of uploading some of that detail.
Yeah, and Dale, just to clarify, when you say auditor, is that an OIG auditor, or are you referring to one of our industrial operations analysts? Okay, thanks, Dale. You said yes, OIG.
Okay, so we're approaching 4:30 and it's time to close down the session. Just a reminder that you will be free to go as soon as you're done here, and that we will not be regrouping in the main Zoom room. Thank you again to Sean, Ryan, John, Zulema, everybody for participating in the QPC and joining today. Happy 30th QPC anniversary. And unless there's anything else, everybody can have a great day, and thanks again.
Big thank you. We appreciate the time, attendance, and yep, 30 years is impressive, and we're not here without you all. So thanks for participating, and have a great rest of the week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care.